Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt surrounded by people and still felt like your mind was somewhere else entirely? Not disconnected, not broken, just ahead. If you nodded even a little, you're already living what psychologists call meaningful solitude, a state described by Carl Jung as the ability to be alone without feeling lonely, not isolation, not withdrawal, but a natural consequence of awakening. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. The moment your frequency rises, your social field stops matching your past. Not because you're superior, but because your perception expands faster than the environment you came from. And this creates a very specific kind of loneliness. Not the painful kind, but the kind that whispers, you don't belong where you used to. You're not lonely, you're transitioning. And transitions always feel like silence before a new symphony. Nietzsche once wrote, the higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. He wasn't talking about arrogance. He was describing the emotional distance that naturally forms when your consciousness upgrades before your surroundings do. High-frequency loneliness happens exactly there, between your old identity dissolving and your new world still forming. It's the quiet space where you begin to notice you can't tolerate shallow conversations anymore. You feel drained around chaos, noise, gossip, and emotional clutter. You long for depth, clarity, truth, stillness. And people who once felt close now feel energetically mismatched. But here's the part that matters. This loneliness isn't a wound, it's a compass. It's your system telling you the environment you evolved in cannot sustain the person you're becoming. And this is where most awakened people get confused. They think something is wrong with them. They worry they're fading from their social life. They wonder if they're losing their ability to connect. But that's not what's happening. You're not losing your ability to connect. You're losing your tolerance for connections that shrink you. Henry David Thoreau, who wrote extensively about conscious solitude, said, I never found a companion that was so companionable as solitude. Not because he rejected people, but because solitude became the place where he found his real identity, before bringing that identity back into the world. And that is exactly what high-frequency loneliness does to you. It strips distractions, it removes noise, it slows down your mind just enough for you to hear your inner intelligence. Not anxiety, not confusion, just clarity becoming louder. There is a moment in every awakened person's journey where you realize you don't crave more people, you crave the right people. People who match your frequency, people who see you in high resolution, people who don't get threatened by your growth, but get inspired by it. But until they arrive, you go through this in-between space, the energetic hallway between who you were and who you are becoming. And this hallway feels empty not because you lack connection, but because your energy refuses to settle for anything less than alignment. You are not empty. You are refining. You're not detached. You're discerning. You're not lonely. You're in metamorphosis. And here's the most important shift to understand. High-frequency loneliness doesn't mean you're disconnected from the world. It means you're reconnecting with yourself. And once that reconnection stabilizes, you stop attracting chaos, noise, and emotional clutter, and start attracting resonance. You stop seeking company and start attracting compatibility. You stop chasing belonging and start embodying it. And this is where everything changes. Because the moment you accept this phase instead of resisting it, your frequency rises again, and something extraordinary starts to happen. People who were never meant for your old self begin to recognize your new self. They come from unexpected places, unexpected moments, unexpected timelines. But they only arrive after you've walked through the hallway alone. So if you're feeling this strange, bittersweet loneliness, if you feel like you outgrew something but haven't entered the next chapter yet, don't rush it. You're not being left behind. You're being recalibrated. This phase has a purpose, to filter out the noise, so you can finally hear the life that is trying to find you. And trust me, it is trying to find you, because high-frequency loneliness doesn't end with isolation. It ends with alignment. Here's the part nobody warns you about. When your inner frequency rises, your nervous system becomes more selective, not socially but energetically. You start noticing the things you once tolerated without even thinking. Emotional chaos, people who speak but don't think, people who take but don't give, conversations that go nowhere, environments that drain instead of nourish. You don't become elitist, you become energetically aware. Psychologists refer to this as a shift in perceptual sensitivity. A moment where your brain stops chasing stimulation and starts craving coherence. It's the same mechanism behind why highly intelligent or highly intuitive people often feel strangely outside of social environments. And here's the crucial distinction. Low-frequency loneliness comes from lack. High-frequency loneliness comes from clarity. One empties you, the other elevates you. This is why awakened people often feel detached long before they feel aligned. Because awakening doesn't show you the new world first. It shows you everything in your current world that no longer fits. You see the mismatches before the matches appear. That's uncomfortable, but it's also accurate. And the more conscious you become, the more you start noticing three truths. 1. Your energy exposes intentions. You stop being fooled by charm. You stop being intimidated by arrogance. You stop being controlled by guilt. You see people's emotional wavelengths before you interpret their words. This alone creates distance, not because you're pushing people away, but because you see them clearly. Clarity always rewrites proximity. 2. Your standards stop being negotiable. Once you taste inner peace, drama feels like poison. Once you taste meaning, superficiality feels empty. Once you taste authenticity, performance becomes unbearable. You don't cut people off. You simply stop lowering yourself to stay connected. And people who depended on your old version feel the gap instantly. 3. Your identity changes faster than your environment. This is the root of the high-frequency loneliness experience. Your perception upgrades, your values shift, your consciousness expands, but your environment remains exactly the same. For a while, you live in two realities at once, the inner reality evolving and the outer reality resisting change. This gap creates emotional static, a sensation of being physically present but mentally distant, socially included but spiritually alone. But here's what most people misunderstand. You're not detached because you're high frequency. You're detached because you're in transition. You're outgrowing your role in an environment that still expects the old you. And that is where the emotional pain comes in. Not from solitude, but from the tension between who you were and who you are becoming. Let me put this clearly. Your discomfort is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're no longer willing to shrink. And the moment you stop shrinking, every misaligned connection feels louder. Your intuition becomes sharper. Your boundaries become non-negotiable. Your tolerance for emotional laziness disappears. Not because you're harsh, but because you finally see the cost of lowering your frequency to maintain proximity. And once you feel the cost, something shifts permanently. You'd rather walk alone with clarity than stay surrounded with noise. You'd rather protect your inner peace than impress people who don't even know themselves. You'd rather invest in one aligned connection than maintain 10 superficial ones. This is not isolation, it's recalibration. High-frequency loneliness is your system clearing the path before the right people arrive. Because here's the psychological truth. You cannot attract what you truly want until you stop entertaining what you've outgrown. And once you stop entertaining the old, your frequency rises again. Not dramatically, subtly. Your presence becomes quieter, your mind becomes brighter, your energy becomes cleaner. And this creates a magnetic shift. People who thrive in chaos can't find you. People who feed on drama can't reach you. People who live on low frequency can't read you. But people who are aligned, people who think differently, who feel deeply, who choose intentionally, they start noticing you instantly. Because resonance recognizes resonance. But before they see you, you have to meet yourself at this new frequency. And that is the hidden purpose of this phase. High-frequency loneliness forces you to encounter the version of you that the world hasn't met yet. The version that doesn't bend to fit. The version that doesn't shrink to belong. The version that stops apologizing for seeing reality clearly. The version that knows solitude is not emptiness, it's preparation. And once you meet that version, your relationships, your choices, your direction, they all change. Not because you push anything away, but because you finally stop resisting who you really are. There's a moment in every awakened life when the loneliness stops feeling like loneliness and starts feeling like alignment. It doesn't happen dramatically. It happens quietly. The same way healing happens. Not with fireworks, but with understanding. One day, you notice that the silence around you isn't heavy anymore. It's clean, it's warm, it's yours. And you realize something profound. You were never abandoned. You were being recalibrated. This is the transition almost nobody talks about. The moment when the world finally stops feeling too loud, and your own mind finally stops feeling too much. Because now you're not running from the noise. You've outgrown it. And here's where everything begins to shift. 1. The loneliness becomes clarity. The distance feels intentional. Your days feel slower but richer. Your thoughts feel deeper but lighter. And your energy, once scattered trying to understand everyone, begins to return to the only place it ever belonged. You. 2. Your inner world becomes more real than people's projections. You start trusting the signals your body sends. You start listening to the voice you always ignored. You stop accepting situations that drain you just because it's normal. You become the protector of your own frequency, and that changes everything. The 3, you no longer chase connection. You choose it, not out of fear, not out of habit, not out of obligation, but out of resonance. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop searching desperately for your people, they find you. High frequency attracts itself. Not loudly, not quickly, but precisely. You begin to meet people who don't misunderstand your silence, who don't fear your depth, who don't shrink when you think out loud, who don't call your intensity too much, who don't project their fears onto your clarity. These people don't just coexist with you, they expand with you, because awakened minds find each other not through coincidence, but through coherence. And that's why this phase you're living, this strange, uncomfortable, liberating phase, is not a punishment. It's the doorway to a life built on intention, not imitation. Presence, not performance. Real connection, not proximity. Let me give you the truth that closes everything we built in this video. You're not lonely because you're hard to love. You're lonely because you refuse to live below your frequency ever again. And that is the moment your life truly begins. Because once you enter that clarity, once you feel the cost of lowering yourself, once you understand the power of choosing who enters your space, something irreversible happens. You rise, not aggressively, not arrogantly, but naturally, the same way light rises, by simply being what it is, and the world reacts. The wrong people fall away, the right ones feel magnetized. Your path stops being confusing, your boundaries stop being questioned, your identity stops being diluted, because now you finally understand. You were never meant to fit into the world you outgrew. You were meant to build the one that matches your frequency. And the beautiful irony? What feels like high-frequency loneliness today is actually high-frequency readiness. Readiness for deeper connection. Readiness for aligned relationships. Readiness for a life that mirrors your inner truth. You are not behind. You are not isolated. You are not lost. You are early. Early to your next chapter. Early to your next identity. Early to the life aligned with the person you've become. So if you've been feeling detached, distant, or strangely alone, don't panic. It's not disconnection. It's growth. It's your inner world expanding faster than your outer world can keep up. And when the two finally match, your frequency and your reality, everything clicks. Awakened minds always meet their belonging. And they meet it not by lowering themselves, but by rising into who they truly are. Now, if this message hit something inside you, if it clarified a phase you couldn't name, then you're exactly where you need to be. Because this channel is for people like you, people in transition, people in awakening, people who no longer accept the default version of reality. If this content spoke to you, stay with me. There's so much more to unlock. Subscribe and keep walking with us. This is Human Wave, where awakened minds rise into a life of wholeness and fulfillment.